In the first video of this series, I talked about an automation that fired on the days that I go to work, and its job was to track traffic and keep me updated of the departure time. This automation also updated the internal departure time that I have as an entity, which would then re-trigger other automations that were watching it. In this video, I'm going to dive a little deeper into the departure warning automation. As I mentioned earlier, the departure warning automation watches traffic and periodically announces the time left until I should leave, as well as updating the internal departure time entity. The core of the automation starts here. First, Home Assistant checks to see if I'm home. Since I have an app on my phone, it just checks my phone entity and makes sure that it's home. The next node checks that the current time is within the proper getting ready time window. You can check the link in the description to see how you can set up like a time entity or a current time entity. To kind of give an example as to what this means, if I have to be at work at 9:30, then I would give myself 1 hour for travel, 1 hour for getting ready, and a half an hour for you never know what might happen. This gives me about a 2.5 hour window for getting ready, which puts the node window between 7 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Now, if the current time is outside of these windows, or Home Assistant sees that I'm not home, this automation stops and turns itself off. However, if both are within bounds, then the actual logic can begin. In this node, Home Assistant uses the Waze travel time integration. You can add this entity by searching for Waze travel time in the integration page. Now, I'm not going to go through how to set it up. It should be pretty straightforward. I don't remember having problems with it, because as a downside, the moment you set this up, you can't change it. Like, you have to delete the integration and add it back in order to get it to work. Kind of a hassle, but it's simple and it works, so I'm using it for now. But once you have this entity set up, you can select it inside this node. The next node is a function that can take your travel time and calculate the remaining time. I currently have hard-coded the time that I want to be at work, but you could create an entity to hold this value for you. Something else to note is that the time is UTC, or the time zone is UTC, and it uses a 24-hour time format, but none of this should be a problem. The drive time was created and passed in by Waze from the previous node. We're just going to store it in this variable for better readability and convenience. I also am using Sugar to manipulate the dates. You'll be seeing a lot of Sugar. Also check out my previous video to see how to install it. So for this, I'm going to use Sugar to create a new date object using the current date, but shift the time to be at work constant. Next, I check to see if the date created is in the past, meaning that the time to be at work has already passed for today. If it did, we update the date time to be for work at the same hour, but on the following day. Without doing this, the calculations will be wrong and everything kind of turns wonky. Next, I calculate the latest time to leave by subtracting the traffic time from the date time to be at work. I use Sugar to give me the minutes until the date time to be at work and the time left until the latest time to leave. All of this is a mouthful. If the time I need to go to work is greater than the drive time, then I update the text to tell me how much time I have left before I need to leave, and then I store it and update the departure time. Otherwise, I just show how much I'll be late by and store the default time. From this node, I update the departure time, and as I mentioned earlier, updating the departure time triggers another automation. So you can check that out here. Along with updating the departure time, I send it to announce all throughout the house. After which, Home Assistant will wait about 15 minutes and then restart this process all over until I either leave or it's past the curfew time that I've set. However, I wanted a switch that would prevent this sophisticated loop from starting on days that I go on vacation or days that I don't feel like going into work. So what I did is, in the helpers, I created a toggle called going to work. And when the timestamp or the inject node fires, it'll first check and look at that entity to see if it's enabled. If it is enabled, it continues. If it's not, then it stops. Right now, this seems to be a very one-dimensional type of automation where it only works with one destination. And I would actually like for this to be a little bit more natural. So a way to update the destinations with my voice, that would be nice. But it seems like voice control on Home Assistant isn't where I would like it to be at this current point in time. And it seems like updating the destination isn't possible within the Waze app right now. So I'll probably revisit this a little bit later. But that's pretty much it for this particular automation. Leave comments, ask questions, and don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell to get notified when I drop new videos. Check out the other videos in this series if you have a chance, because all of this stuff builds on top of each other. Alright, bye.